If you're in perimenopause and you are looking for a magic bullet approach, this is as close as it's going to get.
Introducing the Perimenopause podcast, a show dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of achieving optimal health naturally as you transition into perimenopause and menopause. Get ready to join your host, Dr. Seth Yates, an experienced naturopathic doctor, acupuncturist, and kinesiologist, as he shares his wealth of knowledge acquired from over 40,000 patient visits and 15 years in working with perimenopausal females. Welcome to the Perimenopause podcast.
Hey, this is Doc Yates. Welcome to the Perimenopause podcast, brought to you by perimenopause.com. And today I want to discuss how treating with hormones. Now, in this case, we're going to talk about just progesterone only, because we're talking about perimenopause in this case. And then we can expand a little bit to what that would look like if we were using not just progesterone, but in menopause, estrogen as well. But for perimenopause, let's discuss progesterone only. Now, there's so many times people are like, oh, they just want a magic bullet. We all want a magic bullet. I think we all know it's not possible. In practice, though, I would say the closest thing that I find that gives that magic bullet-like effect, it is hormones. It's progesterone, and in cases where there's a low thyroid case that has never been treated, and you treat that with thyroid hormone, also basically like a magic bullet to the person. Like, it's instantly makes a huge difference, and you only did one thing. There's very, very few things in medicine where someone feels significantly better from doing one thing. Probably very certain surgeries, and in my experience, in my type of practice, thyroid hormones, most specifically progesterone. So here's the thing, though. There's different rules and different things that you have to do already if you want the true magic bullet effect. And I'm going to go through 5 of these things right now, so that way when you go to use progesterone, you've already got everything else covered, so boom, you get the full benefit, the full effect. Now, if you don't do these 5 things, does that mean you won't get any of the benefits of using hormones? Absolutely not. You'll still actually get all of the benefits of using hormones. But here's the thing. When these other 5 things are off, they will create their own symptoms. So when these are dialed in, and then which leads to a lot of health improvements, it sets the stage for the hormones and progesterone to take over the rest. That's where I'm going with this. Number 1, big shocker here, diet. And if I was to really simplify it, I would say cutting out the processed crap. The more you can cut out, without going into all the different, because there's so many different types of diets. Like, we could talk about Mediterranean diet, we could talk about keto diet, we could talk about the zone diet. My suggestion would be cut out the processed crap. The less you have of, 1, foods that are not foods, like all of the preservatives, artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, all of the artificial stuff. Take that out. Then pull out the really refined things. White sugar, white flours, all of that stuff. If you can do that, at that point you're basically down to eating whole foods. And if you're down to eating whole foods, assuming you're not doing anything really weird, being like, I'm going to live off just tomatoes, and you're actually eating a regular balanced diet with whole foods, for the vast majority of people, that's going to cover it. That's going to make a big difference from the dietary perspective. Now, in practice, do I go into a lot more specific diets than this? Yes, and I do that when I'm trying to get a specific outcome for a specific problem. But from an overall health standpoint that I put out, in a message like this to many people, that's the message. Cut out the refined, processed, artificial crap. 2, exercise. You have to be doing exercise. You can take all the hormones that you want, but if you never exercise and therefore have no metabolism or muscle mass of any sort, you're not going to see all the benefits that you would get as if you were exercising. So, add in some exercise. I've discussed this before, but when you're first starting, just start with something. Even if you like walking, go walking. If you like dancing, go dancing. But something that you can do it consistently. Once exercises become more of a routine, Then you start thinking about how can I do more balanced exercise? And the balanced exercise means that you're getting some strength, you're getting some cardio, you're getting some flexibility, and you're getting some balance. And if you're getting those things covered in your exercise routines, then you're really set. The third thing that you have to have dialed in to get the full benefits of progesterone is going to bed. And I say it like that purposefully because there's so many times when people, they just don't even give themselves enough time of a window to go to sleep. So even if you're waking up from hormone disturbances, from progesterone disturbances, you at least need to make sure that you're going to bed early. If you're only giving yourself, a 6-hour window at best, even with the hormones will still make it so you stay asleep better, but you have to go to sleep. So turn off the phone at night, turn off the screen at night, get yourself into bed so that you actually have a good window of time that you could sleep. And then we'll dial the other part in later when we add the progesterone. Okay. Number 4, actively managing stress. And I like to use the term active when it comes to stress management because you are not going to do anything that's going to make the stress stop. In most cases, there's stressors that in your life that you can eliminate, but there's always going to be new stressors coming in. And you have to learn how to actively manage those stressors. One, by finding coping strategies that work for you. Now, the nice thing is that those first 3 things I just mentioned are great stress coping strategies that you can start actively implementing into your life right now. Again, just to review, diet, exercise, and going to bed. But you can also add in things if you wanted to add in herbal teas, if you want to add in breathing, yoga, meditation, talking about it with like having someone you can actually talk to about your stressors, whether it's a counselor or even a close friend. Actively managing your stress is important. And number 5, I would say just basic supplements. Very basic supplements. So basic, let's just say this. Consider a multivitamin in the morning and consider taking magnesium before bed. In terms of just a general health, that would be the easiest way to do it. You're going to be getting, you don't need high volumes for a lot of those things. So get a good multivitamin. Now, a good multivitamin is kind of like a good food, like I was saying. It doesn't have artificial colors in it. It doesn't have all these weird preservatives in it. It doesn't have all the extra additives in it. That's what separates the good ones from the bad ones. That's one of the biggest differences. So, find a good multivitamin, which you usually have to find either at like a health food site or a health food store. If you go to, at least here in Canada, if you go to a regular pharmacy and get the cheap one off the shelf, they're not usually that great. So those are the 5 things. And when you have those 5 things dialed in, and then you add progesterone and perimenopause, bam, magic bullet effect. That is the key. The clients I see that are already kind of doing these things, but yet they still feel off, then they take progesterone and they feel amazing. It makes a big difference. So let's discuss what is left over from a perimenopause standpoint, assuming we're not talking about other health conditions at the same time. We're just talking about imbalances in perimenopause. You did the diet, the exercise, going to bed, you're actively managing your stress, you're taking basic supplements, you'd probably still be pretty frustrated because you're doing all of that and you're still having problems falling asleep, you're still having problems losing weight, you're still getting a shorter fuse or mood changes, you're still tired and getting brain fog. Now you add in the progesterone and now you get that magic bullet effect on all of those things that's left over. Everything else has been dialed in. And now you can get that big bang explosion of beautiful effects all happening at once from the progesterone. So I hope you can start using this information, start making some of these changes now. If you want to learn more about the progesterone, you can go to perimenopause.com. I hope this was helpful. This is Doc Yates signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to the Perimenopause podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and visit perimenopause.com for more valuable information on how you can thrive during your transition through perimenopause. Join our community of like-minded women who are dedicated to achieving optimal health naturally and stay up to date with the latest tips, tricks, and advice from Dr. Seth Yates. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Perimenopause podcast.